Hey everybody, welcome back. Jay here, Eadsy Astronomy. Just going to gather you around the telescope, so to speak, and glad you're with us. Going to go through the weekly newsletters to see how many corrections I can make while I go through it. Anyway, first thing I did, there's the link to the Google Doc at the top. You can go there if you want, go to File, make a copy, and then have a copy on your own drive if you want to make a copy. At the very bottom is a copy of it in the PDF form. Start always with our calendar, the 4th through the 10th. You're going to see we're going to go basically from full moon to waning gibbous, very high waning gibbous, all the way to last quarter, third quarter, right here. So observing at the beginning of the week will be very hard, double stars probably only. By Wednesday, I think you can get out. Astronomical twilight here, for example, in Utah, hits about 7 o'clock, and the moon comes up at 10:27 p.m. So really, because of the mountains here, it's a little bit later. I can get out about 10:40, 10:45. So I could get 2 or 3 hours in of some deep sky objects. I may do that. Thursday, it just depends on the weather. The weather's still looking really crappy where I live. A lot of rain, a lot of clouds. And then on Wednesday, the moon doesn't come up till 11:32, and then it continues to get late every night after that, farther into the night before it comes up. So there are observing opportunities during this waning gibbous and waning crescent time over the next week and a half before we get into what I call the new moon period. Anyway, you can see I've put a lunar progression schedule for the week. We go from 98% all the way down to 52%. And what that means for us is, like I was saying, moon's going to dominate. That waxing gibbous moon, the big gibbous moon, is going to dominate evening, late night sky this week. Sky objects will be washed out when the moon's up just because it's so bright. January 7th and 9th, the moon begins to rise later each night, so you can see fainter stars, you can see deep sky objects, you can actually do deep sky observing. It's better to do imaging, I think, when it's that way. And then by January 10th, next Saturday, the moon will reach third quarter, and it's visible in the early morning before sunrise because it doesn't come up till way later. Sunrise, I really want to cover this with you, and so I'm going to probably pop around a little bit here. I know that on our phones, I know that I have an app, and I'm going to go to it really quick. It's called the Moon, and I can go to a specific day and time, and it will show me the azimuth altitude, the distance the moon is. I can get moonset, moonrise. I can get also on there sunrise, sunset, and the day length. It's all right there for me if I want it. I can even see how much the moon's illuminated that day, just all kinds of information. So apps are wonderful things. However, if the app ever fails, the phone doesn't get there, if you want a old timer's way of doing it, let me show you how I used to do it before all that. There's a link here to the U.S. Navy Observatory, and I'm just going to go to the dock here, and we'll go up. And you'll have to bear with me as I do this. We will go to this link, and as it comes up, you will see we're at the U.S. Navy military data for basically their observatory. Notice I'm under Astronomical Applications Department. The link takes you right there. I can come in here, I can set the year, and I can decide what table I want. I can do sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, civil twilight, nautical twilight, or astronomical twilight. So let's just say we want a moonrise, moonset. I do have to pick my location. So it doesn't really, you're going to have to look for a major city here. So Salt Lake City. And I know I'm in Utah, so I can do that. And import data. It fills it in. It's close enough. Right now it's really 6 hours off Greenwich because we're on daylight time. So, but we'll be 7 hours there. I can click on Get Data, and this wonderful table comes up. Here's the month, here's the day, here's the rise of the moon, here's the set of the moon. I can do that. That's this one is for, you can see it's right up at the top, rise and set for the moon for 2026. I can go back, I can do the same thing and change this for sunrise, sunset, and get data, and I can actually print that excuse me, print that off. Hope I'm not getting what the grandkids have had, the flu. And I can have all that information. I can print it, put it in a binder. I can keep it with me if you're old school, if you're not using technology. Doesn't hurt to have a backup, just saying. Okay, back to the newsletter. Little squirrel there. You can see I put a copy of what my rise and set for the moon for 2026 is there, so there's a copy of it so you can remember what it looks like. Astronomical highlights going on right now. The quantitative meteor shower is peaking January 3rd and 4th. It will be past peak by the time we get to this newsletter on the 4th, just as the week begins, but it'll still be active for the few hours, early hours on January 4th. Probably see it the next day or two. Because of the wolf moon and the full moon on Saturday and the waxing gibbous moon being so bright, probably only going to see really the brightest meteorites coming out of that. You can get 80 meteors per hour in dark sky locations, but again, the moon's going to interfere with it. Probably look after midnight toward the northeastern sky. Moonlight will wash out many meteors, so just look for the bright fireballs are your best targets on that one. You, of course, have the wolf supermoon on Saturday. It peaks January 3rd. January 4th, the moon remains very bright, waning gibbous, making it nice pairings for stars and bright planets. On the 4th, it will appear very close to Pollux and Gemini. Sorry. Sorry. I always sneeze in 4 or 5s, it seems. 3 or 4s, really. But anyway, you don't need to know that. It will rise on January 4th very close to Pollux and Gemini, with Jupiter shining nearby. Seeing the moon with Jupiter and Pollux there, and even Castor above that, and the planets, excellent binocular view, excellent image, or just even using a DSLR. You may even want to try your phone and see what you get. Okay, Jupiter's opposition on Saturday the 10th. And that's probably the crown jewel for planetary observing this week. That's when the Earth will lie directly between Jupiter and the Sun. Makes Jupiter brighter and larger in the sky than usual. It's visible all night long. If it's clear, you've got good to excellent seeing. It is well worth getting out and taking a look at the king of the planets. You can see I've put here the best lunar targets. I think I'm going to just make a little heading for that. Best lunar targets for this week. And you can see I have them listed there. The best targets, there's the craters, why they're good, suggested power to observe them using a telescope. Solar system, let's make that a little bit bigger as I go through here. Remember to go to Skyhound Comet Chasing link for finder charts and information on each comet that's visible visually with binoculars or telescopes. That link's there for you. Also, we have a link here. Another site that I use, and I'll just go back to the newsletter, is called Star Walk, and I just wanted to show it to you really quick. And as you come into this link, it's really kind of a cool link. It's a little different than Skyhound, but here you've been watching a comet, you're into it. Here's the next comets visible from Earth. They give you the time and dates and links to them. So if we wanted to go to Will C24E1, Wirchos, and it will take you right down there, and it gives you tons of information right there. One of the things I'm trying to do with the newsletter is just give you highlights, and then I'm going to try to share where you can go and get more in-depth information if that's what you want. If you want just the highlights, that's great. If the finder chart and knowing what comments to go after is great, you have go to and you just need to be able to punch it in and go to it. Or if you're manual like I am and you need a finder chart and then you want to find it on your own, that's great. But if you want more information, I'm trying to share where that information is. I know a lot of people, I'm putting it in my own words, so I mean I'm sharing it that way, but I really think we live in a day and age where it's just sharing where to get the information and having one point to get all that information is very helpful. At least I hope it is for you. Anyway, back to the newsletter. You can see those. Comet hunting this week, probably the best comet this week, 24P Shumas. It's closest to the Earth, January 4th. That's when it will be at perihelion, January 8th. It's mag 77 to 8, so you need a telescope for it. It's likely the only comet within reach this week. It requires a telescope or high-power binoculars. It may show a greenish coma due to the diatomic carbon emissions coming from it. It's best before dawn, rising in the east-southeast, moving across the sky through those early morning hours. Again, I would go to Skyhound or to Starwalk and get the detailed information for where you're at. Equipment you probably want for Shumas, 6-inch telescope or more. Large binoculars 10 by 50 millimeters or greater. May show a fuzzy patch in very dark skies, not in a suburban area or urban area. Best viewed pre-dawn as the comet rises and climbs higher into the sky. It's available in early January. It appears in the southern constellations near Bootes and Virgo before moving gradually to the northward. Well, what to look for? It's just a fuzzy coma and possibly a short tail with dark skies. Color often appears greenish again due to those carbon emissions coming out of it. C24E1 Urchos, it should brighten in mid to late January, and that's outside this week, but it's worth. It won't be at peak brightness until later in the month, but it's mostly a southern sky early in the southern sky early in the month object right now. So if you're farther south, go ahead and give it a try. Besides these two, this chart from Starwalk, it kind of shows you the ones that are coming up, when they're going to be able to be visible. I just thought it was kind of cool, so I just wanted to include that in there. Again, great site, Starwalk, both of them. Okay, visible planets this week: Jupiter, king of the planets, all night, opposition on the 10th. Saturn, you can still get. It's best right after sunset. I observed it last week a couple times. By 9:30, 9:45 Mountain Time, it was down in the muck. I could still see it, just what didn't look as good as when it was up earlier in the evening. Uranus is up, visible with binoculars or small scopes. It's highest soon after sunset. It's another one that was Saturn. Probably want to do Saturn, Uranus first, then you can go to Neptune, then you can go to Jupiter. Jupiter's best, I think, about 11, 12 o'clock at night when it's really getting up high. You're looking through less atmosphere, and it just really can show some good sharp thing if you have good to excellent seeing. Mars, too close to the sun. It's in conjunction right now. Venus is in superior conjunction behind the sun, January 6th. Again, I did that post. They're kind of passing each other in the night, so to speak, but not in the night because they're behind the sun. And Mercury is just way too close to the sun yet. Don't even try. You'll burn your eyes. Don't go there. I have posted these images so you can see early here in January on the evenings. Jupiter rises along with Pollux and Castor there in Gemini. You got Fomalhaut and you got Saturn up here. So you can kind of get a view of how to see them. January 2026 evenings looking west later in the evening. Looking east, you got Castor, Pollux, Gemini, and Jupiter's right there, and then Procyon's coming up behind them. Late evenings, evenings looking southwest, early in the evening again. Saturn and Neptune are actually pretty close to each other. That's why I was saying those are the two you probably want to do it. And then evenings looking southwest. So I'd change that. I'd go Saturn, Neptune, then Uranus, then Jupiter. Uranus is pretty close to the Pleiades. What it means is Jupiter's dominant. Saturn's probably fun to get before it disappears. Make sure you see those rings almost edge on. And Uranus, it's a fair target with binoculars or a small telescope or any telescope. Look high in the sky earlier in the evening. There's the Pleiades. You can see it there on the Finder chart. There's Neptune, which you can see. It's a target low in the evening. Use charts to pinpoint that. Morning sky, no bright planets. Viewing tips: best seeing Jupiter. Best, like I said, best near midnight when it's the highest overhead. Its cloud bands and Galilean moons are visible with small telescopes, even with binoculars if they're powerful enough. Saturn, early evenings best. Uranus, Neptune, use charts and the times to go and get them. Constellation, naked eye observing, need to just increase that a little bit. So naked eye, best objects you can't miss. Jupiter, which we've already talked about, not going to spend a lot of time. The star Sirius, it's the brightest star in the sky. It's low in the southeast after dusk, and it will climb higher in the late evening. Actually, when I was out last week observing double stars, Sirius didn't come up till about 8 o'clock for me once it got over the mountains. So it depends what your eastern horizon looks like. Moon, waning gibbous to third quarter. There's some things you can look at there. Best constellations to observe, what to look for. There's the Orion, the 3 stars, Sword, Betelgeuse, Rigel, Taurus, the V-shaped Hyades, bright red Aldebaran, Auriga, bright yellow Capella, nearly overhead, rising from the east going up. Aries is a small distinct arc of stars. What's the Taurus? See if you can identify that constellation. Use Sky Safari, Stellarium, something like that. And to get there, you can follow Orion's bout downward to Sirius, then upward to Aldebaran, and then just go west of Taurus to find it, if you want just to have an audio way to find it. Mid-evening, winter skies full on display. Canis Major comes up, Sirius and its surrounding star patterns. Some great open clusters in Canis Major. A great Messier there. NGC 2362, my favorite open cluster, is down there as Sirius. You got to wait till later in the night when Sirius gets up. That's well worth it, and that will be on the newsletters coming forward. Perseus, rich Milky Way region overhead, and of course Cassiopeia, that distinct W shape in the north. For some people it's an M shape. So just know on January 4th to 6th, the moon will be passing Gemini. It will make it easy to identify Castor and Pollux. And I'm not going to tell you this. You can look at another newsletter, but one of those is a double star. You could actually go for it. Anyway, late night pre-dawn. You're going to see winter constellations now sinking after midnight to 6 a.m. And you're going to get springs knocking on the door already. Get a load of that. We're in the middle of January, deep heart of winter, right? But spring knocking on that door. Why it's notable: Leo, bright star Regulus rising in the east, first one to come up. Then you got Cancer, it's faint, but that's the Beehive cluster, M44. Virgo, rising before dawn, Spica appears late in the week, rising. Ursa Major, you can watch Ursa Major begin to climb high. And what I love about Ursa Major right now is that she's going to climb vertically almost. Beautiful sight. Other thing that you want to go for, the winter hexagon. Formed by linking the stars Capella, Rigel, Sirius, Procyon, and Pollux. And I've actually put an image. Got smart learning as I go about. Here you can see Capella. You can see coming down to Aldebaran, to Rigel, to Sirius, to Procyon, up to Pollux, and then back. There's your winter hexagon. If it's clear, go outside and just see if you can see it. See if you can make it out. It's fun asterism to try to get. Okay, if you go to dark skies, you can see the winter Milky Way. I tried to get some images that weren't these fabulous images, but kind of something a little more realistic. I've seen the Milky Way out in the West Desert like this in the wintertime, especially come January, February. You can see there's Orion, there's Gemini. You can see Sirius rising down here below Orion, and up here you can see the constellation of Auriga with Capella. You can see here, this one was taken in Minnesota, this one by Bob King, this was taken from out in the desert. You can see again, and I've labeled them here. Here's Orion. I put Sirius because I was thinking of the star. There's Canis Major, and there's Gemini, the twins. Okay, and you can see those up here. Auriga would be right up there. So you can see, and notice how faint. It's not as spectacular as the summer Milky Way, but it's visible. You get the opportunity, take a drive, go out to the country, get away from the city lights, go to a dark site, see if you can see the Milky Way, see if you can see the Gregorian, see if you can see the other things that I've talked about. Just see what you can see visually, open with your naked eye. It's just wonderful what's out there to see. The meteors this week, the quadrantids are peaking just before this week. A few bright stragglers are probably possible early July 4th pre-dawn. The moon's going to impact on that. Moon impact this week, we talked about it early in the week. Bright moon washes out faint stars and deep sky objects when it rises. It will begin to rise later and later in the evening, so because the sun sets so early still, we're going to have that little bit of a window starting with 3 to 4 hours, which is enough in the winter for a lot of you to get out and just get some cold and get some viewing in or some imaging in. What to look for checklist. See if you can see the Orion and the winter triangle or hexagon. Jupiter blazing all night. Sirius low but brilliant. I love actually when I wake up in the middle of the night because I'm 60 and I do that about once a night, sometimes twice a night. Too much 411 there, but Sirius is usually upright. I can see it through the blinds. I always usually walk out and take a look at it. Gemini is rising high right now. Love the constellation Gemini. There's some magical things in Gemini. Leo appearing after midnight, and I think I'll do that. I'll do that in a post next week, maybe later this week. Talk about a couple of the winter constellations and some objects that are maybe just off the beaten path a little bit within those constellations. Maybe some people find that interesting. Cassiopeia overhead early in the evening, so just a review of all that. Some top 3 naked eye deep sky objects. Pleiades are up there again still. M45, always wonderful to see. M42 Orion Nebula at the Hyades. Deep sky objects, I've made 3 charts here. Beginner friendly targets, and these are just general targets. This is not a list of everything. There's a lot more up there. The 3 Messier open clusters in Auriga are well worth your time to go to. The Flaming Star Nebula there's a bunch of stuff in Auriga. Yeah, I need to just go constellation by constellation once a week for the next couple of weeks and just share what my favorites are in each constellation, and maybe you can comment and share what you think yours are. Here's some intermediate step ups and then some challenging targets. I'll let you look at those. Some key story. Hubble, of course, I posted about this, reveals a planet that wasn't a planet. They were looking at it, they saw this bright image, they thought it was a planet forming, and then they saw boom, and then they saw another one right next to it, boom. And these are planetoids that are colliding around the star Fomalhaut, and they are leaving a dust degree, which is very reminiscent of the formation of our solar system early on. And as we watch that, we're kind of getting some knowledge about what we thought. And what was amazing is they saw both of these, and they really thought that these type of collisions only happened every thousands, 100,000s of years. No, these two happened within 20 years of each other. So, got that down. Universe wanted to teach us something there, I guess. Hubble and Webb confirm a cosmic expansion puzzle. It's just both James Webb and Hubble show consistent results, but still disagree with the standard cosmological model's prediction of how fast the universe is expanding. So that debate's continuing. We know that Hubble spotted jets coming off the 3i Atlas. No big deal. Bottom line, and I shared this, they listened on December 18th. Nothing technologically or alien is coming off that. It's an interstellar comet, which is fascinating, but it is not alien technology. It is not an alien spacecraft. It is not an alien probe. I don't know how many times I have to say that. And 3i Atlas is just going on its way out of our solar system. Take care, 3i. And then they put out new images for Hubble and Webb for 2026, a calendar of images. I'll try to remember to put a link in here. Anyway, that's the newsletter for this week. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find some things in there. And one of the takeaways I'm going to start posting about some of the constellations and some of the objects that you can go after in there, and maybe put some just quick finder charts in there if you don't have GoTo or a Pi Finder or something like that. But anyway, take care. Thanks for gathering with me around the telescope and talking and sharing your time with me. Have a great night. And if your skies are clear, I hope you look up and I hope you find something new that you haven't seen before. Take care. Have a great one. Happy New Year.